She's standing in her own kitchen, the house she's lived in for 40 years. And in the next room, her daughter, the person she trusts more than anyone on earth, is saying words that will destroy everything. But here's the thing that made it worse. She almost didn't listen. And that choice, it saved her life. Picture this. You're 70 years old. You've raised a daughter, watched her grow from scraped knees to college degrees. You've been there for every milestone, every heartbreak, every triumph. And when she offers to move in for a few weeks to help you manage things, doctor's appointments, paperwork, bills, you don't hesitate. You say yes. Because that's what family does, right? That's what Diane believed. Diane Carson had spent 7 decades building a life on trust. 3 marriages, 2 buried. 1 daughter, Sophia, who she'd raised alone after the second divorce. Money had been tight, but they'd made it work. They always had. Now at 70, Diane finally had something resembling security. A paid-off house, a decent pension, savings she'd protected like a dragon guards gold. And when Sophia showed up that September with suitcases and concern in her eyes, saying, "Mom, you're doing too much alone, let me help," Diane felt grateful. Grateful. Remember that word, because in a few minutes, it's going to taste like poison. The morning it happened was aggressively normal. Tuesday, October 3rd, the kind of fall day where sunlight comes through your windows at that perfect angle, turning everything golden. Diane was making tea, the same Yorkshire blend she'd been drinking since 1987. The radio was on, NPR, something about interest rates. Sophia had been staying for 3 weeks by then. And here's what Diane noticed. Nothing alarming, nothing dramatic, just efficiency. Sophia handled the mail before Diane saw it. Sophia scheduled her doctor's appointments. Sophia started asking questions about her accounts. "Mom, which bank are you with again? And do you have a will updated? And what's your account number for the pharmacy?" Normal questions, helpful questions, the kind of questions a good daughter asks. But that morning, Diane walked past the hallway at exactly 9:47 a.m. She wasn't eavesdropping. She was just passing through, tea in hand, heading to water the plants in the sunroom. And she heard Sophia's voice from the guest bedroom. Sharp, confident, different. "No, she doesn't know yet," Sophia was saying. Diane stopped walking. Now here's where it gets complicated, because Diane didn't hear everything, just fragments, pieces of sentences that floated through the crack in the door like smoke. By the end of the month, "She's not incompetent, but we can make the case. The house alone is worth at least $450. You know that feeling when your brain hears something it doesn't want to process? When the words land, but your mind refuses to unpack them? That's where Diane was. She stood there, holding her tea, watching the steam rise, and some part of her, some deep, primal part, started screaming. But the rest of her whispered, "You're overreacting. You're tired. You're being paranoid." Because here's what 70 years teaches you. The people who hurt you rarely look like villains. They look like your daughter. They sound loving. They bring you soup when you're sick. Sophia ended the call. Diane heard the footsteps coming toward the door. She had exactly 3 seconds to decide, confront this now or pretend she heard nothing. She chose pretending. And for the next 6 days, Diane Carson became a detective in her own life. Here's what most people don't understand about betrayal. It doesn't arrive with sirens and flashing lights. It arrives like mold, slowly, in the corners, where you're not looking. Diane started noticing things. Day 4, a stack of mail that should have arrived, bank statements mostly, just didn't. When she asked Sophia about it, her daughter smiled and said, "Oh, I set up paperless for you, Mom. Easier to manage." Easier for who? Day 5. Diane went to refill a prescription. The pharmacy said it had already been filled. "Your daughter picked it up this morning," the pharmacist said brightly. Diane wasn't taking that medication anymore. Hadn't been for 2 months. Day 6. She found a document in the drawer of the desk in her bedroom. a power of attorney form, recent, dated 3 weeks ago, right after Sophia arrived. The signature looked like Diane's, but Diane didn't remember signing it. Here's where your mind goes in that moment. Maybe I did sign it. Maybe I'm forgetting. Maybe this is what getting old feels like, losing pieces of yourself and not even noticing. That's the cruelty of it. The doubt doesn't just come from outside, it comes from inside too. But Diane had something most people don't: spite. And spite, when properly applied, is rocket fuel. She didn't confront Sophia, not yet. Instead, she did something smarter. She started asking questions like she was confused, not suspicious. "Honey, which account did you say you moved my pension into?" "Sweetheart, remind me, did I give you access to the savings or just the checking?" "I'm so scattered lately. Did we already do that thing with the estate planner?" And Sophia answered, every time, with patience, with kindness, with lies. Because here's what Diane discovered when she cross-referenced everything. Sophia had redirected mail to a P.O. box Diane didn't know existed. Sophia had added herself to 3 bank accounts, not as a co-signer for emergencies, but as a joint owner with full access. Sophia scheduled an appointment with an elder care attorney, not for a consultation, for a competency evaluation, for Diane's competency. Let that sink in. Her daughter was building a legal case that Diane wasn't capable of managing her own life, and once that was established, everything Diane owned, the house, the savings, the pension, could be managed by someone else, by Sophia. But here's the twist that made Diane's blood turn to ice. It was all legal. Every step Sophia had taken existed in this gray area where concern and theft overlap, where helping and stealing use the same paperwork. That night, Diane couldn't sleep. She kept replaying that phone call, the one she'd overheard. And this time, with context, the fragments made sense. She's not incompetent, but we can make the case. Sophia was talking to someone about proving Diane couldn't manage her own affairs. The house alone is worth at least $450. Sophia was already calculating assets, already dividing the estate like Diane was dead. By the end of the month, there was a timeline, a deadline. Diane sat in the dark of her bedroom, the room where she'd slept for 40 years, where she'd raised a child, where she'd buried 2 husbands in her heart, and made a decision. Not out of anger, out of clarity. Here's what Diane did. She called her own lawyer, not the one Sophia had recommended, a different one, someone she found on her own. She went to the bank, in person, removed Sophia's name from every account. She contacted the post office, canceled the mail redirect. She retrieved copies of every document Sophia had filed, modified, or signed. And then, and this is the part that takes guts, she did nothing. She didn't yell, didn't accuse, didn't slam doors or demand explanations. She just quietly dismantled everything Sophia had built, brick by brick, signature by signature. When Sophia finally realized what happened, it was already over. The access was gone. The authority was revoked. The carefully constructed framework had collapsed. And Diane, she just looked at her daughter across the kitchen table and said, "I think it's time you found your own place." Sophia left the next morning. No screaming match, no dramatic confrontation, just silence. The kind that fills a house like gas. Diane stood at the window and watched her daughter load suitcases into a car. The same daughter she'd taught to tie shoes, to ride a bike, to trust people. And here's the part that broke her. She didn't hate Sophia. She grieved her. Because the Sophia she thought she knew, the one who called on birthdays, who remembered her mother's favorite flowers, who said "I love you" and meant it, that Sophia was gone. Maybe she'd never existed at all. The house still smells like tea. The sunlight still comes through those same windows. Diane is still there, still 70, still standing. But she's different now. Not broken, not bitter, just awake. She learned something that most people never want to believe. Love doesn't make someone incapable of harm. Family doesn't guarantee loyalty. And sometimes the person who knows you best is the one who knows exactly how to destroy you. But here's what else she learned. Trust your gut. Document everything. And never ever let someone convince you that protecting yourself is paranoia. If this story made you think twice about who has access to your life, good. That's the point. Drop a comment. Have you ever had to protect yourself from someone you loved? What would you have done in Diane's situation? And if this story got to you, share it, because someone in your life might need to hear it.